What happens to the energy we get from food? And why does it keep decreasing at every level of a food chain? Let's understand our environment in the simplest way possible.
Welcome to Teaching Science. I'm so glad you're here. Have you ever wondered what actually happens when an organism dies in a forest? Or, get this, how a literally deadly poison like ozone is saving our lives right at this very moment? Nature is just full of these incredible mysteries, isn't it? Well, today, we're going to uncover the science behind them. We're breaking down Class 10 Biology's absolute easiest yet most important scoring chapter, our environment. By the end of this explainer, you're going to have this entire chapter completely locked in for your board exams. We'll be conquering this chapter step by step. We're going to cover ecosystems and their components, food chains and webs, energy flow and magnification, ozone layer depletion, and managing our garbage. And finally, we'll wrap up with a quick chapter revision, pointing out all the sneaky board exam tricks along the way. All right, let's dive right into Section 1, Ecosystems and their components. So, simply put, an ecosystem is formed when living things interact with non-living physical factors. We basically categorize these into two groups. First up, we've got the biotic components. In science, bio means life. So these are all your living organisms, plants, animals, and microorganisms. And second, we have the abiotic components. The A prefix means non, so these are the non-living physical factors like temperature, rainfall, wind, and soil. When these biotic and abiotic parts interact and balance each other out, boom, you've got yourself an ecosystem. Now, pay super close attention here because this is a major board alert. Ecosystems can be natural, like forests and lakes, or human-made and artificial, like gardens and aquariums. And the board absolutely loves to ask this specific question. Why do human-made ecosystems, like aquariums, need regular manual cleaning while ponds don't? Well, the answer is simple but absolutely crucial. Aquariums lack natural decomposers. Decomposers are microorganisms like bacteria and fungi that break down dead remains and waste products. Without them, the waste just builds up, which is exactly why you have to clean that fish tank yourself. Moving right along to Section 2, Food Chains and Webs. Let's picture the concept of trophic levels, a classic topic straight from your NCERT book. Each step or level of a food chain forms what we call a trophic level. At the very bottom, forming the foundation of the whole thing, we have the autotrophs, or producers. Think green plants. They do all the hard work, fixing solar energy and turning it into food for everyone else. Right above them are the heterotrophs, or consumers. You've got your primary consumers like herbivores at the second level, small carnivores at the third, and the larger tertiary consumers sitting right at the top. Here's a quick exam tip for you. In reality, nature rarely follows a simple straight line. I mean, think about it. A rabbit isn't only eaten by a fox, right? It could be eaten by an eagle or a wolf too. Because each organism is generally eaten by two or more other kinds of organisms, these relationships branch out into these really complex interconnected networks called food webs. Okay, let's jump into Section 3, Energy Flow and Magnification. A really critical board concept to understand here is the unidirectional flow of energy. Unidirectional literally just means moving in one single direction. The energy captured by plants never, ever reverts back to the sun. And the energy passed to a herbivore, it never goes back to the plant. As it moves progressively upward through the trophic levels, it's just gone from the previous level forever. And this brings us to a massive formula you absolutely must memorize. First, green plants capture exactly 1%, just 1% of the sunlight energy that falls on their leaves to make food. But here's the real kicker. The 10% law. When a plant is eaten or when an animal eats another animal, a ton of energy is lost as heat to the environment or it's just used up for digestion. Only a tiny average of 10% of the food eaten is actually turned into body mass and made available for the next consumer. Because so little energy makes it up the ladder, food chains generally have to stop at just 3 or 4 steps. So the really crucial point here is that while energy decreases as we go up the food chain, something else actually increases. Toxic chemicals. We use pesticides on our crops, right? Well, these wash into the soil and water, enter the plants, and then just keep moving up the food chain. Because these chemicals are non-degradable, meaning they don't break down, they accumulate progressively at each and every level. And since human beings occupy the top level of almost any food chain, we unfortunately accumulate the maximum concentration of harmful pesticides in our bodies. This terrifying phenomenon is known as biological magnification. Next up is Section 4, Ozone layer depletion. Let's take a look at the chemistry of ozone, which is O3. Now, while ozone is actually a deadly poison down here at ground level, high up in the atmosphere, it performs an absolute miracle. High-energy UV radiation from the sun splits normal oxygen molecules, that's O2, into single free oxygen atoms. These free oxygen atoms then combine with an O2 molecule to form O3, or ozone. This layer creates a vital protective shield around the Earth that protects us all from severe UV radiation, which, as you probably know, is known to cause skin cancer. But there's another major board alert here regarding what happens when human activities damage this shield. Back in the 1980s, the ozone layer began to drop sharply. This was driven by synthetic chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, which were widely used in refrigerators and fire extinguishers. But fortunately, in a massive win for the environment, the United Nations Environment Program, or UNEP, successfully forged an agreement in 1987 to freeze global CFC production. It's a really great example of how humans actually can fix the environmental problems we create. All right, almost there. Section 5. Managing our garbage. We humans generate a lot of waste, and it basically falls into two categories, biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Think about how human digestion works for a second. Our body's enzymes are highly specific. They digest food perfectly, but they wouldn't digest a lump of coal, right? The environment works the exact same way. Environmental bacteria and saprophytes have specific enzymes that can break down natural, biodegradable things, like food waste or paper, but they don't have the biological tools to break down human-made plastics. Therefore, plastics are strictly non-biodegradable and just sit out there in our environment for a very, very long time. There's an amazing real-life example in your NCERT book that tracks the evolution of disposable cups used in Indian trains. Originally, trains used plastic cups. When people realized plastic was terrible for the environment, they replaced them with Koolads, which are disposable cups made of clay. Sounded like a great biodegradable idea, right? Well, quickly they realized that baking millions of these Koolads every single day was destroying the country's fertile topsoil. This finally led us to the disposable paper cups we commonly use today, which nicely balance hygiene with environmental safety. You've done amazing so far. Let's hit Section 6, quick chapter revision, to lock this knowledge in for your exams. All right, here is your 1-minute rapid-fire recap. Number 1, remember that ecosystems are just a blend of biotic, living, and abiotic, non-living factors. Number 2, the 10% law strictly restricts the length of food chains because 90% of energy is lost at each and every step. Number 3, biological magnification hits top consumers, like us humans, the absolute hardest, filling our bodies with non-degradable chemicals. And number 4, UV radiation helps create our vital ozone shield, while synthetic CFCs destroy it. If you found this masterclass explainer helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to Teaching Science. Also, don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss our next CBSE science lesson. Now, I want to leave you with one final thought as you study. Next time you throw something in the trash, ask yourself, how many trophic levels is this piece of garbage going to disrupt before it finally breaks down? Keep practicing your NCERT diagrams, keep revising, and you are absolutely going to rock those board exams. Bye, everyone.